Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho. We're looking at the sun here in 304 angstroms. A bunch of filaments all around the limbs. And there is a massive plage accompanying Sunspot 2768, which has, by the way, shrunk a bit. Sunspot 2767 may turn into a beta-class sunspot as we see some trailing umbrae of opposite polarity. Lots of other stuff to cover. Let's get to it. First, we'll let this play through. There we go. And just make sure the stream is live here. Next, we're going to look at HelioViewer. Here are the fields. And these small umbrae down here may indeed remain, although I doubt it. And that could turn Sunspot 2767 into a beta-class sunspot, increasing the chances of things like solar flares, again, but I doubt it. Here's the 304 angstroms view, and we've got some custom HelioViewer movies as we do most days. First, Sunspot 2767, a great image of that. As it moves into a setting mode in the southwest. A little bit of ejecta blasting out there. And here's Sunspot 2768. Fantastic view of that also, we've been watching it since it rose on the channel. If you want to see detailed images of this from, say, 2 days ago, watch our daily space weather video from 2 days ago. There are playlists on YouTube, by the way. It's youtube.com/smashomash/playlists. As we're expanding our horizons in various different directions. Again, most of that is not a sunspot. Most of that area is just a plage. The sunspot is just the leading portion of that. And it's been shrinking a bit. 10.7 centimeter radial flux is back to 73 solar flux units. The highest levels we've seen in quite a while. I don't know exactly when the last time we got to 73 solar flux units for the 10.7 centimeter radial flux, but another indication that we're out of cycle 24, well out of cycle 24. KP index has been pegged at 1 for the past 21 hours, and we don't see any significant solar flares. And when we say solar flares, folks, don't get confused between solar flares and coronal mass ejections. Solar flares are X-rays, aka photons, high-energy photons, and coronal mass ejections are protons, atomic material. All right, and the proton flux, we don't see any big rises in that either. If you're wondering what song we were listening to, that is called Stacker Do, and you can get a bunch of music at soundclick.com/goldencatproductions. We see the phi angle shifting around pretty wildly here in the past 24 hours. And we see all the signatures of a coronal hole wind stream, which I forecasted yesterday. So yesterday when we did the daily space weather video, the density had dropped off at the same time as the velocity had gone up. And we watched the velocity go up throughout the day with a second drop off of density there. All the basic precepts of a coronal hole wind stream. Current solar wind speed, 330 kilometers a second. Current solar wind density, 7.72 protons per cubic centimeter. Looking at the magnetohydrodynamic pressure here, the Geospace magnetosphere movie, we show this daily to amass 4 hours of data on a visualization of what the magnetosphere looked like. And we do make these videos every day. And I don't think we've missed a single day. Maybe we've missed one day in the past, 2 years. Please let us know if you know exactly how long we've been doing it every single day and not missing a day. Anyway, there's 4 hours of data on the pressure, most of it oriented in the magnetotail, not the bow shock region. Next, getting a little closer to home here and looking at ground geospace magnetic perturbations, and we see some quite significant perturbations here. It all has to do with magnetism and the heliospheric current sheet, and, well, direct solar magnetism as well. And during this polar excursion, we do have 2 north geomagnetic poles, one over northern Canada, one over Siberia, and the South Pole is in the southern Indian Ocean. And now we've graduated to another Smash Lights section where we're going to blast through a whole bunch of stuff. So fasten your safety belt. Here we go. First of all, triple layered leading edge of solar coronal mass ejections. Now, I was aware of this. I just never saw it described in such a way. This article is on phys.org's Astronomy and Space section. And basically what we're talking about here is a helical current ribbon/boundary that wraps around the coronal mass ejection bubble. The helical current boundary results from interaction between the bubble and the ambient magnetic field, where it represents a tangential discontinuity in the magnetic topology. Its helical shape is ultimately caused by the kinking of the magnetic flux rope that resides within the coronal mass ejection bubble. Now, when we see coronal mass ejections propagate, we totally see evidence of this, and this phenomenon is part of my coming coronal mass ejection timing and measurement process, which I can't really divulge on the daily space weather videos, as these are free and publicly visible, and we don't want anybody stealing my ideas, now do we? We did see an extended X-ray emission from radio galaxy 4C 63.20. If you want to read about that, that's also in phys.org's Astronomy and Space section. It's not really that exciting, but we do talk about radio galaxies regularly, and our regular viewers are all too familiar with the most massive radio source in the sky, second only to the Sun, massive radio galaxy 3C405, otherwise known as Cygnus A. Let's talk about a new method for predicting solar storms. Oh, that's right. Now, this isn't my method, but it is interesting nonetheless. It involves what could be labeled a quantum mechanical interference, since basically all information about the Sun reaches us through light sent out by ions in its atmosphere. The magnetic fields must be detected by measuring their influence on the ions, but the internal magnetic fields of ions are enormous, hundreds of thousands of times stronger than the fields humans can generate even in their most advanced labs. Therefore, the weak coronal fields will leave basically no trace unless we rely on this very delicate effect, the interference between 2 constellations of the electrons in the ion that are close, very close in energy. So if you want to read about this one, it's also in phys.org's Astronomy and Space section. It's a triple whammy today. Go read the articles. Now, another place for articles is smAshomash.com/forum. And we are all the way up to 1,352 users now. So everybody go over there, set up a login if you haven't, contribute, go introduce yourself. There's a new users forum specifically for that reason. There's also a free-for-all forum. By the way, it's all free to view. We don't have any paywalls yet at smAshomash.com, although that's coming. You've also got a forum specifically about the Sun, one about general science, one about Earth and geophysics, and one about cosmology. More forums to come there, possibly. We are streaming live to Twitch if you haven't checked us out over there. Thanks to our new follower over there at Twitch. Cheers. It's twitch.tv/smAshomash. And if you're viewing on YouTube, please take a moment to press like and subscribe. Leave us a lovely comment or a hate mail-based comment. We don't mind. Tell your friends, tell your foes, tell your science noobs and your science pros, since science is being rewritten before your very eyes. We're also on BitChute, thanks to our new subs over there. Look for an exclusive BitChute 200 subscriber exclusive. An exclusive at BitChute. Also, we are on Patreon. It's patreon.com/smAshomash. We've upgraded our number of tiers to 9 tiers now. So we've got 9 tiers, all the way from $1 to $15 a month. Thanks to our Patreons. Look for a credit crawl coming soon. And I did get your message, Amanhotep, about listing that instead of your name. We'll have to work that out with you later. Patreons are the real source of funding for the content so far. We're also on Subscribestar. Visit the other links below the content, as we've got new affiliate links coming out. We'll get to it in a moment. We're also on Subscribestar. Let's talk about China. China. Did you learn how to say China? Now, China's a paper tiger, and I'm not scared of China in the slightest. Chinese Communist Party is a little bit scary. The Chinese people are a little bit awesome. Maybe they'll be liberated one day. Who knows? Now, that's a cheap plastic virus, and chances are if you encounter it, you'll be like, for you can, and you'll just smack it in the face, kick it in the nuts, and that virus will be on its knees, acting like a straight up bitch. Let's talk about the biggest fraud ever, the hocus science behind lockdowns. Oh yes. Fraud and hoaxes, fraud and hoaxes. It's a propaganda pandemic. Let's talk about COVID-19 death toll compared to other pandemics. Smallpox has killed about greater than 300 million people over the past 3,000 years. The Black Death, 225 million people in only a period of 4 years. The Spanish flu, 50 million people. HIV/AIDS, between 23 and 43 million people. Cholera, more than 1.5 million people between 1899 and 1923. How about the Asian flu? 1 million. How about the Russian flu? 1 million. How about the Hong Kong flu? 1 million. How about the swine flu? Up to 575,000. COVID-19, from last year to this year, only 333,000. Oh my God, lock yourself in your house. It's so scary and so spooky. Not as spooky as this idiot. Hey, Fauci, shut your fucking face, you idiot. You are a moron, and anybody who listens to you is an asshole. Fauci, shut the fuck up, you little twat. Check this clip out.
I think we're going to get to the point where eye protection is recommended.
You know, it might, I mean, if you...
Let's get to the point where Fauci protection is protected. Fauci, shut the fuck up, you little bitch. Somebody clothesline this guy.
You really want perfect protection of your mucosal surfaces, just for your audience, Jen, as you very well know.
Wear an astronaut suit. If you want complete mucosal protection, wear an astronaut suit. Wear things over your ears, over your eyes, over your nose, over your mouth, over your asshole. Make sure you cover up your asshole, and somebody cover up this asshole. Dr. Fauci, shut the fuck up, you dickhead. All right, now that I've gotten that out of my system, if you haven't checked out smAsho.org, smAsho.org has had a bit of a revamp. And shout out to Smash staff. So let me just give you an idea of what's new here. We've got a link to the SmAsho forum right here at the top and bottom of the page. The Smash store, that's the Teespring store, and our affiliate. Also, you see this arrow up here? There are all of our social media links. So that's the new setup right now. Look for this to be changing, smAsho.org. If you haven't ordered a SmAsho Price My First Pandemic shirt, well, let's recommend that you do. Now, I'm currently wearing one, as you can probably see right here. There you go. And it comes in different colors. There's also leggings. And look for more stuff coming out. We've also released a second design. This one is only on a shirt so far. I've survived the global pandemic so far. And by the way, please leave us a comment if you've noticed how the mortality rate is getting lower and lower and lower, approaching the exact levels that I forecasted months ago. And by the way, Dr. Fauci, shove your masks and your eye shields and your earplugs and your chastity belt and whatever the hell else you are recommending today up your rink. If you haven't checked out the Smash store, it's on Teespring. It's teespring.com/stores/smash-store-5. There are links in the description below the video. If you'd like a SmAsho Price My First Pandemic t-shirt or leggings, or if you'd like a I've Survived a Global Pandemic So Far shirt, they're all available there. You can get a break on shipping if you buy more than one unit, by the way. I think shipping goes from $5 or $2. $5 shipping down to $2 for additional units or something like that. Let's talk about other health stuff, about how nighttime exposure to blue light, including many tablet and phone screens, is associated with increased risk of cancer. Why? Because it affects your sleep, I'm sure. I'm not going to read the article. It is on SciTechDaily.com. It's entirely plausible. So if you weren't aware, blue light at nighttime, especially after dark, messes with your circadian rhythms. Your body produces a hormone called, well, the hormone escapes me, but there's a predecessor that you can buy in the store. Can never remember the name of it. But in any case, you want to be awake when it's light and you want to be asleep when it's dark. And looking at screens have a lot of blue light coming out of them. That disrupts your circadian rhythm and messes with your sleep schedule. Now, it's known that graveyard shift is called graveyard shift because it lowers your life expectancy by several years. The human body is designed to be, or evolved to be, or whatever. It wants to be awake when it's light and asleep when it's dark. So if you have to mitigate those things, you need to mitigate your light. When you first wake up in the morning, if you get full spectrum light, it will help your circadian rhythms, but night exposure to blue light can decrease the production and secretion of melatonin. That was the hormone I was forgetting. You could buy supplements for that, but be very careful messing with melatonin supplements because you may have some unintended effects, and it may cause your body to do some weird counterintuitive things similar to homeopathy. So be careful with taking melatonin. Be careful with your exposure to blue light. And again, if you can help it, be awake when it's light and asleep when it's dark. We get up this early to do these videos specifically as I'm no longer required to do it for my, quote, job, end quote, which, by the way, isn't going to last much longer because I'm going to go full-time doing this and doing important things like being a patient advocate. Yes. Now, what's a patient advocate? Patient advocate is somebody, and it's typically a family member, although there is an upcoming industry becoming more and more popular about becoming a professional patient advocate. What does this mean? Now, a lot of our viewers know a hell of a lot more about human health than seemingly some doctors. But in any case, if you know a lot more about human health than your family member who's in the hospital, please consider becoming their patient advocate. Why is this? Because people who don't know anything about their own medical records, privacy, their ability to decide, get second opinions, get third opinions, refuse treatment, ask for certain treatment, and so on. A lot of people think that the doctors are their boss. You're your doctor's boss, not vice versa. Your doctor has no ability to force you to do anything. He is a voluntary relationship with you. So anyway, if you're one of these people who knows about 16,000 times more about the human body, physiology, anatomy, medicine, biology, etc., then somebody in your family, consider becoming their patient advocate. Some hospitals have paperwork about this. Many doctors' offices have paperwork about this. And what's happening is the patient is saying, okay, this person knows more about procedures or knows more about healthcare than I do. I'm going to allow them to be my patient advocate. It's almost like an attorney in between the doctor or hospital and the patient. So do it. We've put up an article here about it on wisegeek.com about being a patient advocate. Now, I'll advocate for all of our viewers by recommending the first item on smashomash.com/affiliate. So smashomash.com/affiliate. We've put up our first Amazon affiliate link here. If you're using Brave browser, please turn off shields. So if you ever see a website that doesn't seem to load correctly, we may have to stop using Brave because of this, but currently we just turn off shields and you will see this link to the Zacurate Pro Series 500DL fingertip pulse oximeter. Why? Because I'm going to be buying one of these, probably in about a week I'll have it, and I'll be doing tests on various different types of masks, elastomeric respiration systems, cloth masks, surgical masks, and what this does is this simply measures your blood oxygen levels through your fingertip. So when you go to the hospital, they put a pulse oximeter on your fingertip. It's a very important metric for your overall health. If you see this get down below about 95%, that's not the way it's supposed to be. This thing comes with AAA batteries. We made sure that we included one that includes the batteries. So if you'd like to purchase a pulse oximeter, please do it via our link. Help support the channel that way. Again, I'll be ordering one and demonstrating its use. And I'll be taking this on bike rides and messing around with it quite a bit because I am currently interested in my blood oxygen levels as I get more into an elite cycling mode once again. So yeah, I'll be messing around with a pulse oximeter, and we recommend you do too. It's $29.95, and if you have Amazon Prime, you'll have free delivery. So again, check it out, smashomash.com/affiliate. More links coming there soon, but we're doing it one at a time so we can explain why we're advertising that specific thing. Also, if you need to reach us for any reason, send a text to the smAsho VoIP line, or give a call. We may not answer, but we will get your voicemail. It's country code +1, area code 610-936-9799. It is listed at smashomash.com and smashomash.org under the social media links. Again, the number is country code 1, area code 610-936-9799. And thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Smash Lights. I've been your host, Dan, aka smAsho, and now it's time to move into some other things. Alright, I'll try to stop raging about what an idiot Dr. Fauci is and how he should shut his tiny, tiny face before I clothesline him into the Andromeda Galaxy. Next, looking at the GOES magnetometer to see it is all over the place. And we see some major changes in the solar B field, which we'll show you in 2 frames. So there you see the current state of affairs with the GOES magnetometer. We saw a small arc jet moment there where we saw some missing data. And the reason we're seeing all these spikes is because we can't decide which current sheet we want to be in. So here's the top view ecliptic plane field plot. Keep in mind this data is from 51 ground-based magnetometers, one out here at stereo A and one out here at stereo B. And you can see some significant activity right in this area. That has to do with the magnetic field behind Sunspot 2768. And let me show you the big changes to the B field that it's caused. So you see the B field is being pulled way down to the south right here at the end of the top view, the line of sight field plot. This is all part of the National Sunspot Observatory, by the way. And you can see this big change of the B field here. And an indication, a further indication of the weakening of Sunspot 2768. So that's going to have us solidly in the North Pole current sheet. Expect smoother magnetometer data over the next day or two. Keep in mind the magnetic environment can change with absolutely no warning. Here's the 1-year electron flux graph, the greater than 2 mega electron volt, the relativistic electrons out there in the Van Allen belts. And here you see the 3-day chart, and nothing too exciting happening there. We still have not seen warning levels for quite a long time. I don't think we've seen warning levels since early April, I believe it was. And let's look at an image of the total electron content for the whole air column. Here is that forecast, and it's looking fairly normal here. After this, we'll look at 6 hours of the ionosphere, just one portion of the air column, as opposed to the entire thing like this. Fairly normal there. And now we'll move on and look at 6 hours of the ionosphere. This is courtesy of Bureau of Meteorology of the Australian government. As sometimes governments do things that are appropriate. And for that, we thank you. Anyway, there's 6 hours of data. Ionosphere looking pretty normal here. Let's bring up the latest image and move on. There's the latest image at 8:30 UT. Nothing to write home about there. Here's where stuff is in the solar system, as every single planet is on one side of the sun. And Mercury's putting a stop to that. There's where things will be in 1 week. I like to know what's going on above my head. I like to use in-the-sky.org. If you get up before dawn, you might be able to see Jupiter and Saturn and Mars and Venus and Mercury rising before the sun. It's just on the horizon where I am. It will be a great time to be at the coast, at the Atlantic Ocean, which is only about 60 miles from me, as you'd be able to see Mercury rising before the sun. If you've got a low view, check that out. And Venus should look very, very bright. It's currently at a magnitude -4.4, the third brightest object in the sky. And it looks like an earthquake uptick here over the past 24. I haven't examined this stuff. Let's go through it. Here's a deep quake at Fiji to start things out. This one came in at 8:46 yesterday, about 24 hours ago. It's a 4.2 magnitude at over 500 kilometers depth. I don't think we saw anything over a 6 magnitude here. It looks like a significant number of quakes, though. Here's a 5.6. Must be one of the largest of the past 24. That went out in the Aleutian Island chain. So quite a few quakes here of sort of medium intensity. Here's one in the Band AC. It's at depth. It's a 4.4 magnitude. It's at a depth of 140.6 kilometers. And going back up the list here, I'm going to cite anything that looks out of the ordinary. Very deep quake strikes Fiji. Actually, 2 deep quakes. And those are probably the same quake. The 4.2 seems to have increased in intensity and gotten slightly shallower. So basically it's one quake there. I mean, those are only 6 seconds apart at over 600 kilometers depth and at low 4 magnitude. Then, about 40 minutes later, we see another deep quake. Slightly to the west of that, that's at Vanuatu. It's at a 4.6 magnitude, 162 kilometers. And then only a few minutes later, we see a 5.8 at Japan. So that's an interesting 4 quakes in a rapid succession there. And I believe that 5.8 was the largest of the past 24 hours. Here's another deep quake at Tajikistan. It's a 4.4 at 161 kilometers. Another deep quake. So significant deep quakes kicking off, folks. Deep quake at Chile. And let's look at volcanoes. Current volcano eruptions include Karimsky, producing a flight level of 100, Mount Abiko, flight level 120, Nishinoshima exploding, flight level 180, Kadavar back on the list, flight level 050, 050, a 5,000-foot plume of ash, as Kadavar back on the list is exploding. Semaru, 14,000-foot ash plume there as it explodes. Tokono, continuous ash emissions, flight level 070. Popocatépetl, flight level 210 as it explodes. Fuego dispersed its ash. Telica, it's probably Talika, has dissipated its ash. Sangay, no ash seen. Please don't build a campsite at the base of Sangay. And Sabancaya exploding, producing a 26,000-foot plume of ash. Please do not attempt to do a handspring or a tightrope walk over the caldera. Here's weather.gov's current alerts, and we see a tropical storm moving toward places like Florida, especially Hispaniola. Here's the AccuWeather.com story about it. Tropical storm Isaias swirls toward Hispaniola, about to bear down on Dominica and Haiti. By the way, there's been a new current discovered deep in the North Atlantic. This one is on phys.org's Earth section, perhaps casting some more light on the narrowly understood oscillations of cold water in the North Atlantic. So this has to do with the entire Northern Hemisphere's climate. If you want to read that article, it's on phys.org's Earth section. Next, we're looking at some more data here. It's windy.com's pressure maps. We're advancing this into the GFS forecast, looking into the future, something that we know how to do on the channel. We're going to pause it at about noon my time tomorrow. There's where things will be at 1 p.m. tomorrow my time. We've got a big anticyclone down here just southeast of New Zealand. Please leave a comment with a climate hack fraud if you'd like to name that anticyclone for us. And I would really like to have control back. Hey, thanks, windy.com. Next, we're looking at Saharan Dust. And you can see Saharan Dust is still pulsing out of there, out of the Sahara Desert. And this is largely looking like it's going to fertilize the northeastern coast of South America, while some more moves in toward Cuba and so on. Let's get back to jet streams. That's what we usually look at here at nullschool.net. And let me just press refresh. Here are the Western world's jets. And we see very incoherent jet stream flow in the entire northern hemisphere and the equatorial regions. Jet streams flowing the wrong way, flowing north and south, flowing east to west. It's pretty weird. Here are the jets of the eastern world. Again, extremely incoherent jet stream flow in the entire northern hemisphere, and you can see once again significant portions of jet stream blowing east to west, which is opposite of normal. Next, looking at water vapor maps, here's Europe and Africa. Here's the Far East and Oceania. Lightningmaps.org to see what's going on in terms of lightning. Impress your foes. Frighten them. Impress your friends by forecasting thunder. Hey Wichita, go outside and look west. You may have quite a light show out there. Hey Harper, hey Kingman, there's thunder rolling in. You too, Wellington. Anyway, there's the world map, real-time lightning map. And it looks like most of the lightning is being hoarded by North America right now. Next, water vapor map for the Americas. Some major dry air there in the southwest. And shout out to Diamond. We had a conversation about bees yesterday, thinking about intentionally growing some bald-faced hornets in the backyard. Yes. I haven't had a chance to check out the links yet. Let's do a call soon. Maybe we'll talk about bees, wasps, hornets, daubers, etc. Here's a U.S. Doppler radar map, and we see some pretty heavy storms here moving across Kansas. Hopefully nobody's ending up in Oz. And the storms in the northern part of the state as well as the southwestern part of the state look like they're the strongest ones. And next we're going to look at the water vapor map for the U.S., which should give you some insight into where things are headed if you're affected by those storms. And we're going to zoom in on the Oklahoma-Kansas border, as there is some massive convergence happening there where the dry air is pushing its massive mass, its massive massiveness. And this flow right here is what's driving this. We're seeing a mixture of cold and warm air there, causing a massive, massive pressure gradient. It's an atmospheric waterfall, folks. That's what happens when you get an atmospheric river encountering a massive pressure gradient. Hey, thanks Smash Team. Please share the content on your social media. Stay tuned. Thanks for flying American Smashways. Please keep your head and arms inside the Smash plane at all times, as we've got additional features, such as the current intensitygram, the current colorized magnetogram, and the SDO site is a little bit slow loading today. Maybe they're experiencing additional traffic, and the trailing umbrae that I saw this morning are now no longer there. So we saw like three little dark spots back here, and they are now gone. So that remains an alpha class sunspot. It's shrunk a little bit since yesterday. Let's take a look at 2768 now that we've viewed 2767. And there's 2768. This one could be turning into a beta class sunspot, as that is most likely an opposite polarity umbra. Let's check it out in the colorized magnetogram. And I stand corrected. That's the same polarity. Yep. That's all North Pole. So that's North Pole, and this is North Pole, which means that's going to stay an alpha class sunspot as well, folks. Last but not least, we're going to look at a full disk 48-hour view in 304 angstroms as we see major filamentary behavior associated with the plage behind sunspot 2768. There is a large magnetically active region trailing that sunspot. You can see that SDO calibration maneuver there. And we've got significant filaments all around the limbs. So a significant uptick in activity here. Again, the radio flux has come up, sunspots. It's good stuff. It's what we like to see, as we don't like to see a solar minimum be too minimal. Again, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Visit the links below the videos. Buy yourself a pulse oximeter. Buy yourself a t-shirt or some leggings. Help support the channel. Become a patron. And look for a lot more endorsements coming soon. I'm used to being a human billboard by having company logos on my jersey. Since that's all changing, thanks for joining me during these interesting times. Congratulations on living through them. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. May that solar wind be at your back and that COVIDIOT absent from wherever you are.